Hey folks, this is Matt Rainwater. Today I'm gonna keep it simple. I just want to talk about something that I'm seeing some artists post about on the internet, and I pretty much get pretty reactive when I see when I see artists protesting against what is clearly something that we have very little to no control over. Especially when it comes to world events, when it comes to trends, when it comes to things like, let's say for this instance, the thing that I actually do really want to talk about, which is AI image generation, right? That cat's out of the bag. It's happened. This has been coming for a long, long time. And so I'm just going to recite with y'all something I wrote on Twitter earlier today because this was something that it was just, I needed to express it. I needed to get it out there. And that's the same reason why I'm recording this video because it's really clear to me that when you see people trying to stop something that they have no control over, that for me, I look at that with a great deal of concern for those people because they're not thinking through what's going on. And so let's think through this together. All right, because I've done an incredible amount of thought on this for a couple years now because this moment I saw coming for a long, long time. So anyway, let's go through this thread real quick, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. So this is the start of the thread. It's hilarious to me how many artists are disturbed by the presence of AI generated art, but we're kind of just whatever when deepfakes first became a known thing years ago, right? So like deepfakes, like you know, there's a very big video that's been on the internet for a while of like President Obama saying things he never said, right? Like you can just fake that. You can just fake that imagery. Nobody made a big deal of it. They're just like, oh, that's curious, you know. Uh, but when I first saw that video, it became really apparent to me, like, oh, okay, like everything that I define as myself as an artist is basically done. Like, I can be replaced by artificial intelligence in a second, right? That's reality. It's here. So going on, arts used to be on the forefront and now largely exists as a cabal of reactive careerists. And cabal is kind of a strong word, but I, it felt nice in the sentence. But going back to what I was writing, exists as a cabal of reactive careerists seeking ego satisfaction from adoring fans. The reality that their livelihood could be replaced by a couple of pages of code should be a wake up call. And so I think something I'm really trying to get at here is that uh, if you're making art simply to be adored, simply to make money, that ain't gonna do it anymore. Um, you have to be able to say something much deeper as an artist than just like, I like this show, I like this or that thing. You have to speak to something very, you have to speak to something deep. And I think that this is the reaction that artists came to, or I should say the response actually that a lot of artists came to at the end of the 18th, entering into the 19th century, when you had the transition from, or the transition into the industrial age. That's where Dadaism was born from. That's what surrealism was born from. Was that very obvious confrontation with the reality of photography. And this is a very similar reality that we're going through right now. This is as life changing to the arts as photography was to painting at that time. And that's the transition we're going through right now. And so if you're just expecting to stay on the same career path as an artist that you're on right now, that's changing. For most of us, that's changing in some way, shape, or form of another. So, going back to what I was writing, the question is, will artists wake up or will they keep posting the same meaningless finger-wagging protest signs? Fellow artists, I don't have an answer to the oncoming crisis in the arts, but it's clearly time to evolve. I'm just going to finish what I wrote. Let me make this clear. The dissolution of reality itself was of little to no concern to most artists for a long time, because they lived under the egomaniacal certainty that they were always in control, that they always had this little unalienable center that could never be violated, and it was clung to in several ways as my style, my soul, my art. That's finally been violated in full, and artists should have seen this coming a long time ago. We are long past the point of no return, and posting no AI generated art is going to buy us maybe a month at most. The future is here and it really doesn't care. What the future asks of you is to be more creative than any AI can ever dream of. The days of easy wins through fan art are done. The days of mimicking popular styles for adoration are done. The clock's ticking. Evolve or die. It's not even an ultimatum, it's a mandate. And so that's something that I want to talk with y'all right now about, is that it is time for us to evolve as artists. We have gone for a long time where the expectation was you're creating something to appeal to consumers, right? You existed as somebody who would just share in a fandom or make stories that were reminiscent of fandoms. And originality was not, it was not looked for, it was not sought. In a lot of ways, we've been living through one of the less original periods in art. And I think that that's something that we need to come to terms with, because what AI image generators are very good at doing is replicating everything that has already been made. So it's time for us to make new things. It's time for us to make new stories. Let go of old stories. Let go of all the things that you adored in your childhood. And it's time to make new stories. And ironically, some of those new stories might be things that you came up with in your childhood. A lot of those might be the most original stories you ever come up with, and you don't even realize it. Because you go outside of the like in your childhood, you went outside of the comfort zone of making something that stuck to formats that were, you know, the popular formats of writing stories, where they all look about the same, they sound about the same, and it's really time to stop that. We've been going through it for a while, and it's, for me, I found it quite dreadful. I don't like much of it. I've never really been that on board for like the Marvel Disney format of storytelling. Not that there are some good stories, there are some enjoyable movies out of all of that, but the reality is we are being asked and invited by this crisis to make new original stuff. That is chaotic. That is scary for many. But the reality is, you don't really have much of a choice in the matter. And there are artists who will, you know, they'll keep doing what they've been doing, they'll probably be fine. But for the rest of us who are still building audiences, who are trying to understand even what that means to build an audience, this is a moment in which we need to look outside the norms, and we need to be creative. We need to be creative in total, and not just in these little ways. So, I don't know if I have much else to say on this topic. I feel like this is a thing that has been coming to a head for decades now. And for me, I've always tried to do my best to form an original style, form an original way of telling a story, forming original stories, and to some success and to some not that great success. My goal hasn't changed. if I'm going to remain as an artist, and I still want to, I enjoy it, I have to look forward into the future and think of new ways of telling stories if I want to still be a storyteller. I have to look forward into the future and think of new ways to build characters, new kinds of characters to build, and really get out of my comfort zone. And this is what I'm asking of all of y'all. If we hope to survive as artists in this new era, is we have to get outside of our comfort zones because that's being quickly invaded by technology. And so I'm looking at AI image generators the same way that I would have looked at photography if I were alive in that period. It's a tool that I can use to help me get better as an artist. Or or if I look at it as an existential threat, I will be stuck in the past and I will have no hope of changing and going forward in the future. So that's really all I want to leave y'all with today is you need to look forward. You need to look at what is here now, how to use it, how to utilize it in the best way to improve your art, and to do the things that you never even imagined you could do. Get creative. Don't get scared. Because if you get scared, you're going to hold yourself back. And you'll simply be stuck. You'll simply be stuck in a past that no longer exists. So, it's done, right? Those days are done. It's time to move on. All right? And I'll be here with you. Okay? It's going to be a weird process. I have no idea what it's going to be like. I really don't. It scares me. It scares the crap out of me. And it should to a certain extent. But the reality is, you can't stay in the past. All right? So I will leave y'all with that. And I don't know. We'll talk again soon. It's been a while since I posted a video. But anyway, I hope y'all have a good one. All right? Bye.